Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a special video. This video is going to be quite intense because there's going to be quite a lot of numbers and comparisons going on. And the two things that I'm going to be comparing in this video are two different types of rune builds that you would usually see people go for melee AD assassins in the middle lane. So for instance, Zed, Talon, maybe Yasuo, Kha'Zix, Riven, and people like that. But before I dive into the comparison, let us describe the true purpose of a rune page. Now, of course, as you know, there are rune pages and masteries in League of Legends, and rune pages, at least from what I believe and think, are meant to help you in the early stages of the game. They are usually meant to give you specific types of bonuses in your laning phase to try and sustain through it or just simply demolish through it. Now, I could be wrong or people could have different opinions as to the purpose of rune pages, but that is what I primarily think that they are used for and made for. So that being said, I want to be comparing two types of rune pages. One is going to be a full AD rune page versus a full armor pen rune page. The whole purpose of this video and comparison is to try to determine which rune page is better and which one you should probably be using. Some people do prefer the flat AD, others prefer the full armor pen, such as Bjergsen. So that being said, we will be comparing different variables at level 1, level 6, and level 11. And hopefully we can get a better idea of which rune page is better, when, and why. So first, let us jump into the full AD rune page at level 1. For testing purposes of this video, I will be using Zed as the assassin of choice and Nidalee as the typical enemy mid laner. We're also assuming that the rune pages and masteries that the Nidalee will be running are extremely standard. This of course means that she will be running 2109 masteries, and she will also be only having bonus armor from the yellow runes in her rune page. This is considered extremely standard, and for myself as the assassin player, I will be running pretty standard masteries as well, 2190. And for the rune page, the first one we will be doing is the full AD one, meaning that I will have flat AD reds and quints. Okay, so jumping into the first test case scenario, as you can see, I have 73 AD at level 1. I also have 6% armor pen for masteries. Nidalee is sitting at 27 armor, which reduces physical damage by 21%. So testing the basic auto attack damage first, as you can see, as I auto attack her, I am doing 62 damage per auto attack. Now if you compare the level 1 Shuriken, as I throw it on her, I do 81 damage. Don't forget these numbers, but I will once again remind you once we compare it to the full armor pen. However, the champion is not the only thing that matters in the laning phase. Of course, last hitting and how much damage you deal to minions is also a huge factor. In this case, if I deal damage to the melee minions as they have 1 or even 2 armor, doesn't make much of a difference. I do 79 damage to them. And the caster minions, who tend to have 1 armor at this stage of the game, I do 80 damage to them. But now let's compare this damage to the full armor pen build instead. This one I am running full armor pen reds and quints. As you can see, flat 19 armor pen from runes and masteries and 6% for masteries. Nidalee is still running the exact same armor, 27. When I auto attack her, this time I'm only doing 57 damage. With the full AD, I did 62. However, interestingly enough, the Shuriken seems to do pretty much the same damage, both at 81. However, since I have no bonus AD and only armor pen, when I attack the minions, both types of minions, casters and melee minions, are taking 64 auto attack damage. Of course, the flat AD did end up doing 79 damage to melee minions and 80 to caster minions, so of course, flat AD doing a lot more in terms of CSing. Now jumping to the level 6 stage of the game, using my ultimate again with no items and using the flat AD runes. As I use the ulti, I do the same test case scenario. I ulti, E, Q, and auto attack. And as the mark itself pops, it ended up doing 148 damage. Now let's compare this to its counterpart, full armor pen. A quick note that in League of Legends, flat armor pen is accounted for first and then followed by the armor pen percentage. But in this example, as I do the exact same thing, I ulti, I E, I Q, I auto attack, and as it pops, it ends up doing 144 damage. It is extremely close, only 4 damage apart, but the flat AD did win by just a mere 4 damage. Another test case scenario is that what if the enemy mid laner ends up buying Seeker's Arm Guards? So we end up getting 3 cloth armors, which amounts to 45 armor, which is the exact amount a Seeker's Arm Guard gives when fully stacked. I'm also not comparing the minion damage anymore because at this stage of the game, last hitting should not be a problem. As I throw my Shuriken, you can see that it does 104 damage. And also my auto attack ended up doing 54 damage. The last thing to test is how much damage my ulti mark will now do with this armor. Once again, as I ulti her E, Q, and auto attack, it ends up doing 114 damage. Remember this number. Jumping to the flat armor pen, as you can see I have 78 AD, and this time the Nidalee once again has 3 cloth armors. My auto attacks are only doing 50 damage and the Shuriken, the Q, will only do 105. In case you forgot, with full AD I did 54 auto attack damage and 104 Shuriken damage. So it seems like the full armor pen build is slowly getting higher on the damage from the Shuriken, as it ended up doing 1 more damage than the full AD page. However, the auto attacks are still doing less damage. And now as I pop my ulti onto the Nidalee, E, Q, and auto attack, as the mark pops, it ends up doing 85 damage. The other rune page did 114. And now as we jump into the last test case scenario, this time at level 11. Using the flat AD page, again as you can see, I have no items and I have 115 AD. The Nidalee is still running the 3 cloth armors, assuming that she bought Seeker's Arm Guard and that's it. The Nidalee currently is sitting at 107 armor, which means that she will be taking 52% reduction from physical damage. As we go in for the auto attack, you can see that it is only doing 60 damage. The Shuriken is doing 139 damage. And now as I use Death Mark using the same principles, E, Q, auto attack, it ends up doing 194 damage when it pops. And now for the last time, making our way back to the full armor pen rune page. The test cases and principles are the exact same, and as I walk in for the auto attack, it is only doing 57 damage compared to the 60 from the full AD page. However, the Shuriken is actually doing 144 damage when compared to 139 that the full AD page did. And the last test case principle, once I pop my death mark and it goes off, the damage it does is 191. The full AD page ended up doing 194. The reason the flat AD page is doing more damage is because of the auto attack I'm putting into the death mark. So from all of this we can deduct that the flat AD page is most likely better for the laning phase and the early game stages. Of course, Armor Pen is overall a better stat since it applies to not only the auto attacks but also to the skills and even certain items. The flat AD page will probably give you a better edge in the laning phase. The armor page will make you more efficient in the mid to late game against tanks, and it will probably scale better than the flat AD page. But if you are looking for the early laning phase dominance, flat AD is probably the way you want to go. On top of this, the reason I prefer flat AD over armor pen is because I get a lot of items that give me armor pen, such as a Last Whisper, a Black Cleaver, sometimes a Youmuu's, so the armor pen from the runes isn't all that significant. And I would much rather prefer the bonus edge that I get in the laning phase from the flat AD page as opposed to the full armor pen build. In the end, of course, it is always up to personal playstyle and just a preference. But if this video has taught us anything, the flat AD page is probably a better choice. Alright guys, so that does mark the end of this video. I hope you have gotten more insight into the runes of this game. I personally wasn't 100% sure which page is better and by how much, so I too have learned something new. If you guys did enjoy this video, please share it with your friends, like the video, write down in the comments what you thought about it, and also please do subscribe if you have not. Also, another quick shout out to my friend Pokito, who has a YouTube channel where he makes League of Legends content as well, so if you want to have more daily doses of League of Legends, check out the channel in the description. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope to see you next time. Peace.